Welcome to The Explainer, where we take complex topics and, well, we explain them, turning them into clear, dynamic presentations.
Today, we're building a solid foundation for one of any organization's most valuable assets, its data. We're going to start in the chaos, then lay out the blueprint for a solution, talk about building the framework, see it in action, look at the tools, and finally go from chaos to clarity. Okay, let's dive into this. So first up, the data chaos. We'll start by looking at a problem that so many organizations face, a lot of times without even realizing just how big it is. I want you to really think about this question. What if your data isn't helping you, but is actually hurting you? This isn't just some hypothetical. For a lot of places, it is a daily reality, where data just creates confusion instead of clarity. And this survey really gets to the heart of it. It shows the real-world consequences of unmanaged data. A survey of university IT staff found their top two problems were 1, data quality, and 2, a lack of knowledge of data processes. When nobody trusts the data or knows where it comes from, you get these information silos and a total breakdown. And this is what that chaos looks like day to day. You've got resistance to change, you've got zero standardization, and you've got departments hoarding their own data, creating this totally fractured view of things. All this leads to distrust in the data, inefficient operations, and some pretty significant security vulnerabilities. So how do you fix a chaotic house? Well, you don't just start knocking down walls randomly, right? No, you start with a blueprint. Let's move on and see how this is built. And this quote just illustrates the core idea so brilliantly. Data governance. It is the blueprint for your data assets. It's the roadmap. So what exactly is it? Well, you can think of it as the discipline that makes sure data is managed as a strategic asset. And that's the key here. It's about treating data not as just some byproduct of your operations, but as a core asset that actually drives your business forward. Now, a huge part of this blueprint is defining clear roles. You gotta know who's doing what. That's where a system like the Rossi matrix comes in handy. It makes sure everyone knows their part, whether they are responsible for a task, the one who approves it, needs to be consulted, or just kept informed. Okay, so you have the blueprint in hand. Now it's time to build. So what are the actual steps you take to implement a data governance framework? The University of Chile thesis we mentioned earlier actually outlines a really practical, phased approach. It all starts with getting organized, forming committees. Then you move methodically through the technical stuff. Identify your master data, review how it's being used, profile it to standardized formats, and finally deploy the tools to monitor and clean it. All right, theory is great, but let's look at how these principles are actually applied in the real world to see the kind of impact they can have. This core principle drove the Florida Department of Transportation to launch a major data governance initiative. They understood that data wasn't just numbers, it was a critical asset. So they created the Roads Initiative. This set a clear strategic direction for their data. They standardized everything, from inventory attributes all the way to their software applications, all to create a single authoritative source of truth. Now, you can have the best people and the best processes, but the right technology, that's the guarantee that it can all be carried out smoothly. And these are the kinds of tools we're talking about. Things that help automate the management of your data, that monitor its quality, help you understand its flow, and of course, ensure its security across the entire organization. So what does success really look like? What's the payoff? Let's revisit that whole data quality problem we started with. Now, what's really interesting here is this before picture from that university study. In one key table, data consistency was just under 58%. Think about that. Over 42% was inconsistent. But then, after they implemented their governance processes and did some data cleansing, the study measured a 23 percentage point improvement in consistency for that very same dataset. That is a huge leap. So the crucial point here is the transformation. You go from a state of chaos to one of clarity, of trust, and of real strategic advantage. You're replacing poor decisions with an informed strategy. Ultimately, data governance isn't just another IT project. It's about building the structural integrity that your entire organization needs to support its future. So you have to ask yourself, is your data a solid foundation, or is it a blueprint for disaster?